Welcome to the 2717 podcast. I'm Javier, an authentic wedding filmmaker.
And I'm Ashley, a passionate wedding photographer.
We're here to bring Proverbs 27:17 to the wedding industry. As iron sharpens iron,
so one person sharpens another. In this fun series, we're all about sharing experiences and building a community.
Expect heartfelt stories, creative inspiration, and some amazing behind-the-scene moments.
Plus, insights from some truly inspiring guests.
Tune in to connect with us, spark your creativity,
and be a part of a supportive community.
You're listening to the 2717 podcast.
Planning your wedding isn't just about choosing a venue, it's about finding the perfect backdrop for one of the most meaningful moments of your life. That's where Juliana Estate comes in. Nestled in the heart of Lakeland, this elegant estate gives you that classic scenic charm, like a movie set, but it's all yours. Think lush greenery, romantic gardens, and plenty of room for unforgettable moments with the people you love the most. It's a place where every detail feels personal because it's not just a venue. It's where your story begins. See how Juliana Estate can make your wedding day truly yours at julianaestate.com. Thanks for sponsoring today's podcast. Hi, everyone. Welcome back to the 2717 podcast. I'm Ashley.
And I'm Javier.
And today it's just a host episode. It's just me and Javi, and we're so excited to really just yap with you guys.
Absolutely.
We're going to talk about everything in the wedding industry that's been on our hearts, any trends, hot takes. We had a really cool experience of getting to work a wedding together, both on video.
Yes.
Wild. So we're going to talk a little bit about that. And yeah, we're just going to catch up with you guys.
All right. Well, hey, get your popcorn, make coffee, make tea, sit back, relax. If you're driving, focus on the road. But let's go ahead and start this podcast.
It's November.
It's insane.
That this year I feel like has flown by, but these last couple months have been just, I feel like they've been dragging a little bit.
Honestly,
but I can't believe it.
It feels like it. My wedding season is really about to start, and we get crazy this month in November. I'm going to Miami twice, back-to-back weekends. Then I got a few weddings here in the Tampa Bay area, and then Fort Lauderdale in the beginning of December.
Yeah, you got a lot of traveling this month.
Yeah.
It's going to be crazy.
At least it's in-state and not out-of-state.
That's true.
September was 2 weddings, but they were both out-of-state. So I'm excited to just be in Florida, and I can stay with my normal workflow.
Yeah, for sure. Same thing. My November is jam-packed. I have 1 week where I have 5 weddings.
What?
So it's going to be really crazy.
That's insane. Like, how do you recalibrate from one wedding to the next when you got 5 weddings in 1 week?
Yeah. This is going to be a first, so I will let you know after.
Are they like all full day weddings, or they're intimate weddings?
2 of them are more intimate. They're going to be about 2 to 4 hour coverage depending on. And then the one I'm second shooting. So that'll be really nice to just kind of, it's actually my first one of that week. So I'm
really?
Like, all right, I get to hands off, get to nice squeeze in there. Yep. And then I have 2 intimate weddings, and then I have 2 full day coverage weddings for that Friday and Saturday. So I don't know. I'm really excited because they're weddings that I'm going to be really excited to create and capture for these couples that I've been getting to know. Yeah. So I'm really excited about them. But yeah, recalibrating. They're all kind of in the Tampa area. So I got a hotel up there for 2 nights. So that'll be nice to not have to make the drive back home. And then it's nice that I can get sneak peeks done even that night too, or, all that stuff. So yeah, but it's going to be crazy.
That's going to be crazy. I think I've only ever done 3 weddings in 1 week, but they were all back to back, so a triple header.
Yeah,
that was insane. Definitely not doing that again. How was your experience? Be honest with me. Be candid to our audience. How was your experience being a second shooter videographer with me?
It was crazy.
Yeah.
It was so much fun. Don't get me wrong. I had a blast. And I think it was really a cool experience because I really did get thrown into the fire.
Yeah, that was not by
Yes.
design, I was not
No.
trying to have that
No. No. No.
happen.
No. We had a problem with Hurricane Milton. The wedding got moved. Your second shooter canceled because they had other things going on the new date. And so Javi messaged me and was like, "Hey, you're gonna be now an assistant going to lead second shooter. Have
Yeah.
fun." And I said, oh, "Okay, cool. This is exciting."
And for context, the bride was aware, like,
Yeah.
hey, my original second shooter is not there.
Yeah. That's all acts of God stuff. So.
Exactly. And so,
Nothing you can
Ashley
do.
stepped in to help. She did amazing, honestly. I'll share more of my insight, but I want to let her talk about it, her experience more.
Yeah. I think going into it, I was really excited because I just thought it would be a really cool experience and a way that I could kind of get into the like video, because we have kind of talked about that, and just a really fun way to like just try it. You know what I mean? And so going into it, I was really, really excited. And then on the drive to Lakeland, because we met in Lakeland, I was really excited. I was like pumping myself up. And also I'm thinking like for photographer second shooting, so much fun because you really don't have the pressure of the day. Like
True.
You're just capturing really raw, authentic reactions. So for second shooting for photo, it's always really fun and relaxing. So I was kind of going into, I'm like saying it was really fun and relaxing to go to a wedding day. No, but it is though. Like for photo second shooting, you don't have a lot of the pressure to capture those main elements.
True.
And it's a really fun way to just like kind of stay creative, stay in the wedding space, but take off the pressure a little bit.
Yeah.
So I was kind of going into it being like the same vibe. And then when we met up and we were kind of talking about, the wedding on the drive. Where were we? Where did we go? You drove.
We went to New Smyrna, so that was about like 2 hours away.
Yeah. You were like, yeah, I'm gonna like mostly take a lot of your images from, getting B-roll and like all that stuff. Like I'm relying. It was very subtle. It was like I'm relying on a lot of your videos, and I went, oh.
Yeah.
All of the color drained out of my face. I was like, oh, okay, cool. This is a lot of pressure. I'm scared. But I'm a very hands-on learner. I do really well under those types of situations when there's that rush and you need to kind of do things like this, and very hands-on with learning. So I feel like it really taught me a lot, and it really helped me like grasp it easier than like if you were to just tell me
exactly
what all of the mechanics and the machines and all the lighting and all that stuff does. So
what was the thing that most surprised you about like being a second shooter for video?
Ooh, I think the cropping aspects of things and not doing things vertical. I went so many times to like go to like as a vertical
Portrait
photographer,
shooter, yeah.
shooting horizontal is hard for me. So then when I was doing horizontal, I would go to like flip the camera to like get it vertical in video. Why? I don't know. It's just point of nature. I don't know. And then even like cropping things too. Like we were kind of discussing things before the ceremony, and you were looking back at some of my clips and like getting that framing
like
in. Where
nailing your composition framing based on the aspect ratios that I'm like the final deliverables to look in.
Right.
So
right. And then also just like how mobile you have to be. Like for photo, like I feel like I do run around a lot, but for video I was running around 10 times more of like just trying to capture all of the different elements of, and you told me on the day of like you could capture it like this, and then you could really quickly move to this, and then you could really quickly move to this, and it looks like 3 people captured this same image, which is really cool. And I think it's really cool how you make your films like that to give that dynamic, wow, there's so many clips going into this day.
Yeah. And it's really more about like the more angles I got, it's like you create a more immersive video that you're like, whoa, how many people were here? And it's like if you're watching a Hollywood film, like if you're watching a film, you normally see the movie is like, okay, they'll show the area, then they'll do a tight on a detail, or they'll do a tight shot on the subject, whatever's going on, and add some context. And they'll go wide to show off the whole space. So it's like the more shots I have, the more I have to play around with when it comes to editing to create that immersive experience.
Right. And it was also quick too, because those moments don't last forever.
Exactly.
Like, you need to capture it like this, and all like with 5-second clips.
Exactly. That's the part with video. Like, I've second shot photo for you too. And so we have that like experience dynamic. It's photo second per se is much more relaxed, and it's much more like, hey, you know what? Like you're not as dependent on my shots, especially, I mean, for the groom you are, if we're,
for groomsmen shots for sure. And then getting reactions are really important.
Yep.
And then I tell this to my brides all the time on calls, if they're like, should I have a second shooter, should I not, if the package doesn't include it. And I always say yes, because I had one time where I was getting photos of the like recessional, like the bridesmaids coming back down the altar, and I had sent my second shooter to go with the bride and groom, and the bride just broke into tears, was so excited that she just got married. And they have those photos now because I had a second shooter. So like, having those dynamic, like, same thing with you, like that immersive gallery is so important. But it is just like,
yeah. And then on the flip side of things, not only I rely on you when it comes to just shooting, it's like, hey, moving tripods, moving cameras, setting up lighting, then the audio.
I got jacked. If you're a video watcher, YouTube watcher, I'm pumped up right now from this wedding.
Because that's the thing with video. It's like, okay, you're not just skilled at capturing the moment, the video. It's like, no, you got to know your lighting, you got to know your audio, you got to know your equipment very well, and still be present for the couple and be able to create that good experience for them, while managing all the other elements of your craft. That's the thing that, to me, that really separates photo and video. It's like, okay, photo, you do have to worry about flash when it comes to lighting, but I'm looking more as a second, is like, how much are you relying your second for certain things? I know, and I also shoot now with anamorphic lenses, which is like you're pulling focus. And so that's a skill set that second shooter needs to have, unless you have the equipment for it to do like the autofocus stuff. It's a lot, honestly. So I absolutely rely on my second shooters, especially the weddings that I'm doing now. The caliber of weddings is like, my seconds has to be a replica of me, pretty much.
Yeah.
It can't just be somebody, you know. It's like, no, it's like they have to be a replica of me. And like, what I commend you on is like, hey, you took the initiative. It's like, you weren't waiting just like, hey, what you need me to do. Is like, no, like, you're being proactive. That is something I look for in a second shooter. Like, I showed you that little setting of the anamorphic lens, and you remembered it because I had turned it off and everything. And I gave you the camera, and before I knew it, you already had it back on, and you're like pulling focus. I was like, let's go. Like, yes, like, you don't find that quality in every second shooter. And so just seeing that, I was like, awesome. And then like the moments where it's like, hey, as soon as the bride walked down the aisle with the groom, it's like, no, you got to follow them. Be at a distance, but follow them. Don't like.
That is a really funny story.
Don't hold back.
Yeah, Javi has the headset mics.
Yeah.
And he was like, go after them. And I was like, okay. And then so I like was like, okay, yeah, I will. And he's like, no, now, like right now, go. And just because the wedding was like, the bridal party was exiting, and so I was like, I'm gonna squeeze right through the bridal party exit. I was like, wait, hold on, how do I where? But then you just have to, that is the thing with video, and that's the thing with photo too. Like, you just gotta do it.
If you gotta capture those moments, it's like, hey, let them go, follow them behind, get there, don't interrupt, don't interject, be a fly in the wall, then spin around, and then film everybody who's coming now, like reacting to them getting wedding and celebrating with them, and capture that moment. You know, and there are times where sometimes planners jump in at that and that moment too. And I'm like, can you hold back for a little bit? Just let them have their moment. And even though I'm there, I'm not trying to interrupt the moment. I'm just trying to like be a fly on the wall, let them have that and capture those genuine moments.
For sure.
But you can only do that if you're there. If you're not there, the moments are gone.
Yep. The moments happened and you missed them.
Exactly.
Cue me. No, I'm just kidding. I didn't miss them. I did run. I slayed.
She killed it.
Those anamorphic lenses are insane.
Yeah.
Like, they are very cool. I got a very minimal chance to use them, but when I did, I was like, this is crazy.
Well, the cool part about it is, honestly,
really cool.
Is that like you get to see a different perspective of like from video, especially now with anamorphic lenses, where now you're getting that like wider field of view, that compression, that weird distortion on the framing, but it looks so good because that's what you
Yeah.
see in movies. That's the
Yeah,
type of lenses
literal
most movies
movie lens.
use,
Yeah.
and it's just insane. And like, I just love the
Sets
feeling
the
it
bar
evokes.
like way higher.
And creativity level too as well. It's like I'm
Yeah.
way more inspired to edit, tell their story. But I really love that you got to help me
Mm-hmm.
because I get to do your wedding in 2025.
Yeah.
And so you get to see like, oh, like this is the production, the level of the, you know, that he puts into this. And you getting a first hand to see is like, whoa, like this is really cool.
Yeah. And you had even asked me that on the way home. You were like, so like, how do you feel now that you have me hired for your wedding? Like, do you feel like
Yeah.
you saw a little? And I was like, oh, never felt more secure in my decision in my whole life.
Oh, that's
I
awesome.
was like, we're good. We're very excited.
And the one thing I told you is like, hey, if I'm at your wedding and I'm not talking to you a lot, it's because I'm really focused on capturing everything that's going on in your day. And I'm not like one of those videographers like, hey, I'm a fly on the wall. It's like, no, I interact with my couples
Yeah.
and talk with them on the wedding, but I'm just really focused.
Yeah. I feel like there's definitely that level of like, you need to be focused, but you also like need to be there for your couples and continue to have that bubbly feeling of like, hey, I'm here for you, whatever you need, but also like focused on capturing moments and not really putting your camera down because then you'll miss the moments and all of that stuff too. So there's like a nice fine line.
How was that like transition from ceremony to reception into quickly taking everything back? That way we're back again when it comes to their family portraits and bridal party stuff.
Yeah, that was wild. I have never had to deal with that before because I'm doing the family photos, and that is one thing I will say, like everything that I need on a wedding day is on my body. Whereas like for you guys have tripods and lights and all the thing, multiple cameras on multiple different like places and lights and all of the things that need to be moved back. It's insane. I'm swole now, so.
And the thing is, like, every videographer has a whole different system. Like, some of them, like, hey, they only have 2 cameras or 1 camera. Everybody's at a different stage in their career. But the stage I'm at, like, hey, I want to produce something really amazing. It takes all this amount of gear to do it.
Yeah.
And believe it or not, it's actually minimalist when you compare it to, like,
some
movie
others,
production and others that I've seen. It's like, like, it's still a lot of gear, but it's still manageable. Still be able to do it.
Yeah, absolutely. Especially when you know it inside and out.
Yeah, I know a videographer that does like 8 cameras for a ceremony setup.
That is nuts. How many people does he have with him? Is it just
2.
him? 2. 4
Nice.
cameras per person.
Pretty much. Sometimes they do drone as well.
But that's okay. That's the other
overkill
thing too.
in my opinion, but that's
I was
insane.
like, but now I'm thinking about it. I'm like, I normally have like 4 cameras on me. I've got a film camera, I got a Polaroid camera, I got my
But you
2
got 8
mirrorless, but they're all on my body and they're not all going at one time.
He has 8 cameras.
Monitoring
all
8 cameras at one time.
And that's for
insane.
all different angles, like some reactions and stuff. Even for me, like I like to have 2 cameras in the back, but bride and groom, and then the other 2 cameras just floating to capture reactions. And I usually have a 5th, it's a VHS camera, and capture that nostalgic moment.
I did the VHS for a lot of it too, and that was really fun.
Yeah.
I want to get one. I want to get a vintagey one like that. I have a more modern one, but it still produces kind of that nostalgic look. But like yours is like truly from 2000.
Yeah, it's the early 2000s.
Early
Honestly,
2000s.
it's been, my parents bought it when I was a kid. They never really used it, like mint condition.
Yeah.
And now I get to use it for weddings, and I'm using it to also capture like family memories with it. So it's like, oh, this is a family heirloom. This is what my parents bought.
Oh, that's so cool.
Would have known I've been using it like 20 years later.
Yeah, exactly. And like coming back into the trends.
Circle.
Yeah, it's crazy. How would you say that the VHS has really like worked in your business? And like, what do you think of all like the Super 8 stuff trending right now and all of that?
I mean, for me personally, I'm a fan of Super 8 as a like admirer, but I'm not a fan of it when it comes to my business because like, it's something that I can't control, that I have to mail and then get processed. And like, if it's an add-on, it's not a cheap add-on for the couple. And so if anything happens, like I can lose that money pretty much, And so sure, you can have a clause in your contract, all that good stuff. But again, those are memories that could potentially be lost. I like to have things that like I can control.
Yeah.
So I like the VHS better because of that. Secondary, it's accurate to our time.
Yeah. That's a cool point for sure.
And that's the thing. Like I was born in the 90s. and like majority of my couples were born in the 90s, even the 80s, and you're still using VHS at that point.
Yeah.
And so it's in the early 2000s. So it's like it's still accurate to our time. And so I love that, and it resonates with me more because of it. But I prefer VHS. I just love it. It's easy to process in terms of like once you have a good camera. The hard part is probably finding a good VHS camera.
Yeah.
Like I've noticed a lot of people have had trouble with it because some of them may work, some of them may not work.
Yeah.
But once you buy a tape, you can buy a tape for every single wedding if you want, and it's $20. So it's like you don't have to reuse. You can reuse the same tape, but if you want to like buy one, save it, and then even give it to the couple, you can. But you
that's
can
really sweet.
you can also
too.
transcribe it HD, which is what I do for my videos, and it only takes like maybe an hour at the most, and I have a digital copy already.
Right.
And then I can use it into their wedding films and all that stuff.
Yeah, I think that kind of circles back into film photography too. It's kind of the same.
Yeah.
The same type of deal, if you will.
And film is accurate too to like our time.
It is.
Like, still
it is for sure. And it just adds that extra layer of like character to every gallery for sure. I think it's really fun to play into, especially on the day of, because as the photographer, you're so much more like cautious of what you're taking photos of with it, if that makes sense.
Exactly.
It makes you slow down on a wedding day really quickly, which is really fun.
It takes you back. Like I'm a big fan of Leica. So their cameras for me, it's like, oh, if you don't know what Leica is, pretty much you're like, they're one of like the oldest camera companies, and they produce some quality cameras. And I mean, they look very minimalistic. They look awesome. They're expensive is the only thing. So I have a Leica Q2, and it's like a personal camera I use to take photos of my family with, and it slows me down. It makes feels everything very intentional. And that's the point with film. You're intentional about what you're shooting compared to like digital. Like, hey, we put that thing on high speed continuous. We make sure we get the moment. But
and we're just shooting away.
And we're just shooting away, but we're not really like slowing down and being very intentional about the framing, composition, and all of that.
Yeah. Yeah. Helps you slow down for sure. And I love the Super 8 trend. I think it's really beautiful. I like what you said about how it like maybe doesn't really replicate to our era.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because like, I don't remember Super 8 ever being a thing when I was little, and I know I'm younger, but like still that, I mean, you know what I mean? But just like the little videos are just so pretty. Like,
oh yeah.
It's just like the color. It's maybe not as relatable of like, this is what I had when I was younger, or like these types of videos or anything. Maybe not as relatable, but it's like just the colors are so pretty.
Yeah.
And like, just like the vibe of it is so timeless.
Agree.
So I like it too, but I get what you mean on that aspect of things. And I think that's a really cool way to do with VHS too, because it's all in your hands all the time. Film photography is the same thing. We got to get it sent out to labs unless you're producing it in your own lab, which is a lot of money, but also but it's also a really cool thing to invest into if you're really into film. I think that's really fun.
Like obviously I live here in Florida, so if Florida had like a film lab that I can do for video and it's reliable, then that can be an option. I just don't want to mail anything out.
Yeah.
And I have done it in the past twice, and like things worked out and everything. I'm still not comfortable with it, so I'd rather not offer it if I'm not comfortable. It's like, and the gear too. It's like if something happens to it, it's kind of hard to like get it serviced, repaired, or buy another one because it's not cheap either. There is one camera actually that's like an ultimate like Super 8 camera that it can use film, but it also like in camera will make it digital into a memory card.
Oh,
but that camera costs like $5,000.
Well,
so it's a specialty camera though.
I'm kidding.
It's a specialty camera. So it's one of those where it's like, well, my brain isn't built off Super 8, so is it worth the investment?
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Fair.
It's
that's really cool. Yeah, I was like, that's super cool.
It's cool that's out there. It's just, wow, that price is
yikes.
Too much for me.
Yeah.
We can easily fall into the trap of being busy and thinking that that's productive. But truthfully, that's not always the case.
Yeah, I find that all the time.
I mean, I can literally speak from experience.
Yeah.
Like the last 2 years, one wedding season was like 100 weddings. The next wedding season was like 61. And then this wedding season now I have like 35 weddings. And I finally had a good break over the summer. And I was just still living off the 2 past years. Like I didn't feel as productive. I felt very busy and still was blessed, and business was doing good, but I didn't feel like I was moving forward. Like
Sure.
no vision for the next 3, 4 years, 5 years, where it's like, hey, you know what? Like taking that step back from being so busy, you're trying to book the most, but taking time to really like, hey, let me reflect back on my business and let me see what I was doing right, what I liked and what I don't like,
Yeah.
and what can I improve coming up for the next, few seasons, and how I want to shape this to look like. Because when I first started weddings, I didn't have a family. I didn't, I was just married, newly married. Didn't my son wasn't even born yet or anything, and now that I have 2 kids, a home, it's like, oh, my life has kind of shifted since
Yeah.
then.
Yeah, I think that time of reflection is so needed as a business owner, especially when you're still trying to navigate things. And when you do have rapid growth, like you had experienced in those 2 years, it's hard to take the time or find the time to sit back and reflect of like, hey, what did I like that I did? And what did
Yeah.
I not like that I did? And then and then going into applying that. That's why
Yeah.
I think your slow seasons are so important, because it really helps you put the work into your back end stuff and really reflect into, hey, do I even like this? Do I even like the target audience that I'm reaching right now? Do I like producing like this? Or
Exactly.
how can I improve? And, in those slower seasons, you can also like do things you're passionate about within your business, like more
Yes.
creatively, which is really fun to even flourish and spark that creative like
Yeah.
tweak. So,
And it gives you time to, that's where this podcast was birthed from. Hey, I have a good
I got
amount
some
of time.
time.
Yeah, I have some time. I'm like, let me start reflecting what I want in the future, what I'm looking for, what do I want to accomplish. And then we started talking. Actually, you're the one who suggested, hey, we should start a podcast.
Yeah.
I was like, what? Yeah, no way.
Yeah, because we're cool. I don't know. No. No, I feel that all the time. I always say that whenever I'm in busy season, I'm praying about being busy. And I'm like, Lord, I'm so busy. Like, I'm just so stressed out and I'm busy and I'm complaining about being busy and all that stuff. And then when I'm in my slower seasons, I'm like, Lord, I'm so, there's nothing for me to do. Like,
Yeah.
I want to be busy again. So it's a funny cycle, and Luke calls me out on it all the time.
Yeah.
He's like, you always complain when you're not getting the other thing, you know what I mean? So
Exactly.
we always want what we don't have, but
That
taking
is
in
so
time,
true. And appreciating it
yes,
in that moment.
taking the time to like really reflect on the busier seasons and the slow seasons, and even like the slow seasons in the busy seasons of like, okay, wait, maybe I should slow down, even like just my day to day of like, and making things more intentional.
Very much.
So
I think honestly, you'll feel much more rewarded because we're way more intentional about it rather than just getting the task done.
yeah. Taking what you reflected on and applying it to busy season.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's so big. Like, don't fall into the trap of just trying to be busy. Like, just be intentional, sit back, strategize, reflect, and start creating a new action plan for the future to work on. It's like you don't want to be just working in the business. You want to be working on the business.
Yeah.
Same thing applies to life. Like, hey, we're living this life. Like, how am I right now in my relationship? Are we just going through the motion, or are we actually working towards something together?
Right.
And that applies for
That's so
everything.
good. Yeah. Definitely.
What are you and Luke doing for Thanksgiving?
Ooh, I'm so glad you asked. Thanksgiving is a big thing in the Martin family. So it's their like main holiday, because they just like are so family oriented and really take the time on Thanksgiving to be so thankful for their family. Like, that is their time that like all the siblings come down, and it's really intimate, and all the spouses come down and everything. It's really intimate, but it's just like so much fun. We always like play games. Like, we have a turkey ball.
What?
Where his mom makes like, she puts a bunch of gift cards and like cash and like parchment paper or plastic wrap.
Yeah.
And bubble wrap and like all this stuff, and then you do the mitten thing. So kind of like what you do at Christmas, but
Yeah.
like for Thanksgiving, which is super fun. And then she goes all out for the Thanksgiving meal. They all don't eat all morning. And then I watched the Thanksgiving Day parade, and she just is a master chef for Thanksgiving. Like she goes all out for even just like their immediate family, intimate, like him and his siblings and his parents, and like she just makes like macaroni salad, like green bean casserole, like turkey, like she makes literally everything that you could think of and is a master at it, and multiple desserts, and it's so sweet because it's just for us. Like it's so much, and we just have so much fun all together. So that's his big Thanksgiving holiday. And then I think we're also going to go to Universal with his family the couple days before Thanksgiving, so that'll be really fun. And then for my side of family, Christmas is our bigger thing, but Thanksgiving is still huge because we're still big family people. But my cousins from Colorado are coming into town, so we'll probably just, usually for Thanksgiving on the Hadeen side, we do like random things. Like we'll do non-traditional like Thanksgiving meals. Like we've done Italian one year and like Mexican and like all that different stuff or whatever. So it's kind of a different vibe, but we mostly spend more of our time at the Martins, I would say, for Thanksgiving. So
That's awesome. I know I usually spend Thanksgiving with Dominique's family.
yeah.
And so I know her family like is gonna go all out with food. They always do. What makes it more special is that her father moved from Miami and is now in Lakeland, and so he's gonna be pretty much every event and stuff. To give context, when we celebrate Thanksgiving with my wife's family, is mainly with her grandmother, her aunts, and because her parents lived in Miami, and so now that her dad moved here, is like, okay, we're all together. And every other year he will come to as well to celebrate, but it's really nice. I know my wife appreciates it. And then obviously having his nickname is Grand Gaga Peepaw for the kids. So it's really cool like having him here. And so it's like, okay, we get to celebrate. Usually with my family, it depends. Like some years like they're celebrated,
Yeah.
but some years like they're just gone and doing vacation somewhere. So like, all right, well, we're not going to the house. We'll see you in Christmas. That's more of like the 24th in the Hispanic cultures. Like it's like Christmas Day.
Yeah.
And then Christmas, the 25th, is more like, all right, everyone's chilling with the family and stuff. But the 24th is more like the party, just like the 31st is for like New Year's Eve heading into New Year's Day. So that's when we usually spend more with my family, is during Christmas Eve time. And then Christmas Day, we'll spend it with her family.
Yeah.
So it works out really well with our family dynamics.
Yeah.
But Thanksgiving, not sure. I'm not sure which one we're spending it this year, only because Dominique has to work, unfortunately.
Oh no.
But I'm pretty sure I'm gonna go to both households.
Yeah, that's super sweet though,
the
being
kids,
intentional to like still go to both and honor both. And
because they only live 15 minutes apart from each other, so it's like, all right,
Why
we
not?
can spend the morning and then go in the evening to her families and vice versa.
yeah.
But
That's
there
so
are
nice.
years where we do just pick one spot and we stay there. So like usually it's like Thanksgiving usually is her family, and then Christmas Eve is just my family. But then Christmas Day we go back to her family.
Yeah.
So it works out really well.
Yeah, I've been really in the Christmas spirit this year.
Yeah.
And it's
man.
really
We're almost there.
I know. I want it so bad. But the problem with that is Luke is we wait till Thanksgiving and then we celebrate Christmas. And I'm like, King, I can't wait that long. I'm so excited. But it's a cool tradition that, we're trying to keep because it means a lot to him. So, but it's a struggle for me. I'm really excited for Christmas.
I already know that Dominique is gonna be like, look, bring down the Christmas tree from the attic as soon as Thanksgiving Day is over.
Literally.
Pretty much.
Yeah. And that's the thing too. Like it
It's
is that way
weekend.
for him. Yeah, it is that way for him because he loves Christmas so much. And he's like, that's why I can like love it so wholeheartedly and like the full season is because I wait for it to happen. So like literally the day after Thanksgiving, he's going to be like, trees up. We got Christmas decorations everywhere. We're blasting Christmas music. Like he's going to get so hyped. But I'm like, I want it right now.
Question for you then.
Yeah.
If you got an inquiry on Christmas Day for like Italy, would you like pursue it or not?
Like I got an inquiry for December 25th or on the day.
Uh-huh.
What are you talking about?
No, like It's for that day. Their wedding day, it's on Christmas Day.
Christmas Day
Yeah.
in Italy.
Would you like, I'll give you options. Options A, would you
I like this multiple choice thing we
I
got
love-
going on.
Option A is, will you deny them
Okay.
completely? Option B is where you apply a surcharge for being a holiday. Or option C is you just treat it as a normal wedding.
My first instinct is I feel like I would just treat it like a normal wedding. Considering that is a bucket list location, friends. Anybody booking an Italy wedding anytime soon, let me know.
Reach out.
If it's on the 25th, I will treat it like a regular wedding. No, I'm just kidding.
And I'm going to be the one who treats it like a surcharge. I got to leave my family. Unless you can pay for my family all to go.
No, but I think that's a really good point that you make, because even just, again, being a newer creative in the industry, I'm like, I would take it as a normal wedding day, especially like it's a bucket list location. We have Christmas every year.
Yeah.
Whatever. But I think that's a really good point of like, that should be an extra charge. And I feel like New Year's Eve weddings
Exactly.
should be that too. Is that
well.
crazy?
Yeah.
Maybe.
I would even put Thanksgiving too as well. Like, but especially those two holidays for sure.
Yeah, Thanksgiving and Christmas for sure. I feel like Thanksgiving would be a crazy one to have a wedding on.
Yeah.
There's no way. Do people do that?
I've had a Christmas Eve wedding actually before.
Christmas Eve I get. New Year's Eve I get. Christmas? Why would you get married on Christmas?
Well, Christmas Eve, it's like my Christmas for the Hispanic culture. So that's like almost like I would still do a surcharge on that day.
Yeah.
Like,
that's fair. I totally get that. Yeah.
The 25th?
I could see why people would want to get married on those days. You know what I mean? Like, why would you want to get married on Christmas?
But the other like half of the question is like, will Luke allow you to do the wedding too as well? Right? Like we have these options. I already know what Dominique would say. It's a big NO.
Yeah. He is a trooper and he's so supportive. I did book a wedding on his birthday once, and that was a tragic situation, but he was so chill about it. He was like, no, like you gotta do, he like fake gave me a hard time about it, but he was like, no, like at the end of the day, you got to do what you got to do. Yeah. And he also has a really weird schedule with the fire department. So sometimes he works on holidays. He's worked the past 2 Christmases in a row.
Oh, wow. That's not cool.
Yeah. So normally, actually, he's so sweet. I love him. He normally does trades for them. So he'll have like a guy that's scheduled and does have a family. He'll usually be like, hey, like I'll trade with you so that you can be home for Christmas, which is really nice. And he only asks for Thanksgiving off because that's really important to his family. So, but this year he's off for both holidays. So we're excited.
Awesome. Yeah. I mean, Dominique is supportive, but for Christmas, and that's in our kids and family, it's like, now we all got to be together.
I think that's so valid. That is totally different. Like Luke and I, you don't have kids. Yeah. So we don't have that. So, but if we did, I feel like that would be a totally different situation and more of a, I think he does that because of that situation, because we don't have kids or don't have,
Yeah.
It's
However,
just us, so.
Let's say like bride and groom says, hey, we'll take your family out too as well and everything.
I think that'd be really fun.
We would go in a heartbeat.
Yeah. I think that'd be really fun for a holiday.
That would be an
especially
experience.
Just to get away with your family.
Memories
so
and
much
everything.
Fun. Yeah. Especially one year. Why not?
Like, let's go to France or England or somewhere.
Yeah. Oh, I love that.
Now, if it's in the States, it'll be a lot easier because we still can celebrate as a family together. With like, hey, let's say I get an inquiry and it's in Montana. I'm like, I would go in a heartbeat. Family, pack up your bags. Let's go. We're all leaving. Like, we're gonna make our Christmas celebration here, and we're gonna like remember this year, this moment in time, so and make it special.
Yeah. So if anybody wants to book us on December 25th, you let us know.
Let's go.
We're going full family aboard.
Absolutely.
We're going full family road trip on that
Bring
one.
the Martins. Bring the Reyeses.
And it'll be a good time.
It'll be a great time.
I love it. Okay. So Javi, I want to pick your brain about something. How do you differentiate your personal style and your creative style versus like the client's vision?
That's really
kind of a deep question. Sorry.
It really is.
Sorry, I hit you hard.
Hit me hard there. I think I honestly don't in a way, because I would say maybe in the past I would have to figure that out. Now I don't feel like I do as much. I feel like now I have like the right set of couples that I'm attracting that value the way I storytell, and they give me the freedom to express the creativity in the way I view their weddings and see their weddings and tell their stories. I think it's more about like what they care about. It's like, hey, these are the moments we care about the most. Let's make sure we have those
Yeah.
preserved. And for me, like, okay, that gives me like, all right, perfect, great, because I'm already going to capture those moments. Now I just have that creative freedom to now just focus on like, how do I want to translate that into video and storytelling. But before then, that was very tough,
Yeah.
because that's everything comes down to intentionality and branding and how you're going to market and communicate with couples. Before, it was very much more of a transaction of like, hey, can you do this for me, and can you do it this way?
Mm-hmm.
Then that doesn't allow me to have any creativity.
Yeah.
And so that was just literally providing a service and it being a full, complete transactional experience, rather than it being like, no, you're hiring an artist and you want the artist to create something unique and special for you,
Yeah.
that it's going to be timeless and it's not going to be like any other video. That is the thing,
Yeah.
And I call it film, because it's like, hey, we're really telling our story. Sure, we're documenting all these moments and preserving the moments, but we're literally focused on telling the best story we can as best as possible, authentic to who they are. So each video is literally unique.
Yeah. And I think that's where the wedding industry is going with creatives as well. Like, clients are valuing now more of that authentic documentary storytelling aspect of their wedding day. Just like we have always valued that, you know what I mean? Like, but clients are seeing it in a different way, and now they are really wanting that, and like really giving full trust to who they choose in their as their artist, and even in their other vendors as well.
And I believe that really like translated on when the big C word came along. And that's when like things just started to carry over, and people were just like, hey, you know what, this is very important, we want to make sure this is captured, documented, we want to invest into somebody that knows what they're doing,
Yeah.
and can bring their own flair to it. How does that feel for you when it comes to photos? Like, there's a whole shot list, like the pressure is to get the shot list done.
I've leaned a lot more away from the shot list. When I had originally bought, I give like a PDF. So for my clients, I do my final call with them, and then fill out like this PDF guide that has like a sample timeline and all like the information and everything. And I had originally bought in this guide from Etsy, and then I put my own tweaks on it and stuff like that for how it best serves me. At the end, it had like an ultimate shot list guide, which was really nice for when I was first starting out in weddings. But I've since like gotten rid of it, and just, same thing. Like, I have a questionnaire for my clients that are like, what are your most important moments? And I really want to get to know, I saw a post like this, but it was like, who made your wedding bouquet? Like, if it was grandma, like, you got to tell me that stuff. So then I take extra care with capturing your bouquet. Like, the more that information that you tell me, the better I can capture your day and the most important elements of your day. Because if you got a bouquet from a florist, like, that's beautiful and it's gorgeous, but I'm not going to handle it with as much care as if like someone really special to you made it,
or capturing
something
as
like
many
that.
perspectives
of it, or anything like that. I think that's a really cool way. So like you said, having that emotional transaction of, I want to know every little detail and why it's important to you, and then from there making a mental shot list, not even like a shot list of like, I need to check this off, but I'm going to handle this moment with care and intentionality, more so than like oh, I got photos of that, or you know what I mean, like I got really intentional photos that capture the moment, bring you into the moment so you can relive it all the time.
You know what? Speaking of that, I did one of my final consult calls. Really is like the final call right before the wedding. We go over the timeline, everything.
Yeah.
And I asked her, I was like, hey, is there anything I should know about your wedding that's unique to you? And it can be anything.
Yeah.
And she actually mentioned, she's like, I actually spent so many hours on the signage. I did all that. I designed how the table is going to look and lay out and those details. And she just was talking more and more and more about the process and how it was for her. So like, not only does it like, sure, can you please get it? But no, it's like she's sharing the emotional aspect of that, the effort, the time put into it. It's like, all right, so I want to capture now. I'm just envisioning in my head, how can I capture it? Not just to have it, but to capture in a way that's like gives the perfect perspective, the way she views it, the way she fell in love with these details because she put so much effort into it. And how can I honor that for her and weave it into their story? And
so
you
good.
know, it can be in for like, for example, it's like, hey, I'm not one of those persons that's very big into colors because her color scheme, she's very neutral. And she's like, but it didn't feel me. I wanted something with colors. I wanted to represent the love that we have for one another in their story. And it just, everything intertwines. And that's that intentionality. I'm like, I'm so happy. Like I had that question to ask her and her willing to share it because now it gives me way more insight. But it also lets me know her character too as well. Like this is not just another wedding day. You know, it's not just another wedding. And sure, it could be your own wedding. But there's, you know, we've all dealt with couples that like, we're just here to get married and we're ready to leave. But it's like, it's more than that again. And the whole reason is because they're having family style tables. It's a very Italian inspired theme and the way everything is designed. And so she really wants to make sure it feels like that and it captures everything. And she put all that effort into those details. It's like, wow, like, thank you for sharing that and letting me know, because when it comes to editing, I'm like, all right, let me sprinkle in some more detail shots, tie it into the family when they're all sitting down. Not only get the detail shots when you're just there on the table, but like, no, when people are eating and people are just having time and discussion, because the whole purpose was for that gathering, for their celebration, not for just like, all right, here they are displayed to look nice, perfect. Like, no, like that's how you can be way more intentional about those details and gives a different outlook about it.
And even so too, when you circle back to that of when you start capturing that way, then your photo style turns into their client vision.
Very much.
So
yes,
it all circles back into each other of like,
it almost becomes that magazine moment. You're like, is this even
like,
real?
Ooh, did I do that? Yeah, for sure. Trusting in your vendors, and then again, like having that emotional connection and asking them those right questions to get them to open up, be vulnerable, stuff like that. It's like that circle of, you need to trust your vendors, and then we need to do our part to get to know you.
Yes. You know what that just came in mind? Your wedding is the canvas.
Yeah.
We are the paintbrush, right?
Yeah.
But your story is one that really tells the direction of how to paint
of
this
like,
brush. Yeah. How we do the swishes,
like
right?
Paint
are we
brushes.
doing exaggerated lines, or are we going like nice and, you know, with the flow and smooth? I think that's the best way to how to describe it, honestly.
For sure. All right, so that's about all we have time for on this episode of the 2717 podcast. Thank you guys so much for listening. And if you're on YouTube, thank you for watching. Javi, where can they find you?
At sundial.creatives. Or if you want to visit my website, it's sundialcreatives.com. I just updated it and it's pretty awesome.
It's pretty legendary. And you can find me at Ashley Jade Photography LLC on Instagram and TikTok, and also at my website. And then you can find us at the 2717 podcast on Instagram and TikTok. 27 the numbers, 17 spelled out. Guys, we'll miss you. See you next Monday. We hope you guys have a good rest of your week, and we'll talk to you soon.
Peace.
Bye.